Are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of KLAV.
The sport of radio control racing has swept the nation, and Vegas RC Raceway is proud to present the first radio show in the nation to cover this rapidly growing sensation. So, without further delay, your hosts Eric Flint and the Big Shane bring you Radio Control Race Chat.
Hey there, I'm Eric.
And I'm the Big Shane.
And this is RC Race Chat. We got a great big show today, but before we get started, if you want to call in and ask questions, don't hesitate, 702-731-1230. If you're getting ready to leave your car, getting ready to head in on the computer there, you can stream us live at thevrcr.com. Also, if what you're hearing here about the RC stuff, you're having a good time with it, you can come on down to the Vegas RC Raceway, 3420 North Rancho. We're open 7 days a week, 10 in the morning to 11 at night. So you can come down and check out these RC cars. If you're just listening and don't really know what's going on with them, that's the perfect chance to check it out. Let's get right into the show, though. Here we have a great show with RC Insider. Jeremy Flint is going to be on the show, Shane.
Yeah, Jeremy is an awesome guy. I see him at a lot of races, and he's always given me props, even from when I first started out. And he tends to, lately he's been focusing a lot on like sportsman guys and intermediate guys. He's doing the whole roundabout coverage more so than just the top names. I mean, yeah, he's covering those guys, of course, but he also covers the little guys too. So
absolutely,
it's a good thing. I like him. He's a pretty cool guy. If you just sat down and if you ever see him at a race and sit down and talk with him, he's a very unique individual.
He is indeed. But before we get started with the RC Insider interview, we're going to kind of touch, because this is a big week for a lot of people. We have Battle of the Beach in Havasu, brought to you by Proline this coming weekend. That's the 14th, 15th, and 16th. And the Big Shane here is doing the track layout. Matter of fact, he's leaving after the show.
Yeah, right after the show.
So
I'm heading on the road, and I'll be driving probably, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes to get to Havasu. And it's a long drive with nothing in between.
Yeah. But it gives you some time to think.
Yeah, it does. It does. I kind of already know what we have intended, and I just need to get to the track and take another look at it, for myself. I've been there a number of times, and this time tonight, actually, Jason Miller and a couple of his buddies will be down there, and we're all going to meet up and kind of discuss what needs to be done.
So regardless of the time of night, you guys are going to get cracking right away.
It needs to get done starting tonight. So.
Now, for the listeners, I know there's, from the Vegas RC Raceway, there's probably about 60, 65 people, including myself and my daughter and my wife that are going down. What can they expect with this layout? Any hints?
I think I kind of went over the layout with you guys, and I'm sure Miller's going to have a little twist to it. But everything is going to be super safe and fun and stuff. I'm going to build jumps with, like, not such big, gaps.
That anyone can do.
Yeah, pretty much. You can even come up a little short, and you're going to be safe. Now, it's still going to be challenging for the fast guys because, I'm going to have it set up to where
they can go big.
You're going to have to jump a little bit further to make it, the distance and stuff like that. But it's definitely going to be very fun, fast, and flowing as far as I can tell, unless Miller has something else in store for me. But I think with that kind of layout at this particular race, we're looking. I can never judge how many people are going to come. We don't know. We just had the big IIC race here in town, and then the Reedy race was last weekend as well. So some
of the big guys might be tied up a little bit.
Yeah, and then there's Sidewinder coming up, which is next week. But I do believe that a lot of people that I've talked to are down for this race.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be a good thing to put kind of Vegas on the map, kind of Havasu on the map. Arizona. I know a lot of people from Arizona are coming. A lot of people from California are coming. And most of all of Vegas is coming. And we show up in big numbers, and we always try to run 10 classes. So I know myself, I'm trying to run 5 classes, and that's going to be tough.
Oh, absolutely.
And trying to take, care of the track maintenance, and making sure everything's going well.
Right.
Yeah.
We always got your hands full, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of having my hands full here, tomorrow, Wednesday, is the Havasu warm-up race at the Vegas RC Raceway.
That sounds super cool.
And the reason why I decided to do a warm-up race before the actual race in Havasu is a lot of the people going, this is their first big race.
Yeah.
So they don't know what to expect. They don't know what AAA mains are and that kind of stuff. So we're going to run the same format that you guys are running, or Proline's running and Miller's running at Battle of the Beach.
That's cool, because this format is a little bit different than normal racing. Usually in a race, you have your qualifiers. Usually you have 2 rounds of qualifying, like a JBRL has 2 rounds of qualifying, and then it goes into one main event. And usually the main event, it depends on time constraints, but usually that main event is probably 20 to 30 minutes, and it's a good thing.
Right. Well, it looks like we have a special treat on the phone. Before Jeremy, we have Jason Miller from Havasu on the phone. How you doing, Miller?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Eric?
Very good. Got
Miller,
Shane here, too.
Miller. It's Miller time.
That's right. It is indeed Miller time. So we got a couple minutes with you here before we have our interview with Jeremy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Battle at the Beach? What can people expect there?
Well, if they haven't heard already, our track is probably about the best location you can ever get for an RC track. It's literally about 100 feet from the beach on Lake Havasu. We're within walking distance of London Bridge. So there's plenty of sites to come and see when you come down and race. The weather here is going to be perfect all weekend for the race. And it's been a while since we held a big race at our track, so it's going to be neat to see what we can knock out this weekend. I know Shane's definitely looking forward to it, and I've been jazzed about it for a couple months now.
I know you've put on a couple races in the past, and you've still had, the entries there, but I think this is going to be one of the biggest races Havasu's seen in a long time, and I know it used to be on the map. Like, people used to go to Lake Havasu and race a lot back in the day with RC cars, and lately it just seems like that kind of fell off the chart a little bit. And now, with this race especially, I think you're going to see more and more people traveling to the Vegas area, to the Havasu area, to come out there, especially the location of the track. That track is in the best location I've seen any track at.
It's literally right on the water.
It's on the water, yeah. I mean, there's girls walking around in bikinis and just the fun atmosphere. Boats pulling up to come watch RC cars racing around. They've never seen it before, and they're out partying on the boat, and here they come walking up on shore, and they can see it. It's right there, 50 feet from them, So it's definitely an advertisement being right there on the water. It's pretty cool. I like your facility. Your facility is one of the best, and it's really close too. For me, it's only 2.5 hours away, so that's pretty close.
Absolutely. Now Miller, people might not know what to expect when they get out there. The hotels out there are extremely close to the track, right?
Yeah, we've got Quality Inn, which is literally you pull out of the park and you dead end into Quality Inn. It's hard to miss. And then we've got, I believe a lot of you guys are staying at the Travel Lodge, which is literally about 2 minutes away from the track. And then also I've been trying to pump up a lot of guys that are bringing in travel trailers in the town. We have a bunch of trailer parks that are literally on the beach. You can back your trailer into the water if you want to, but you can basically back it up right to the water, launch jet skis, have a great weekend, and then go race during the day. Go back to your family at night, camp. I actually had a guy call me today. He's bringing his family. They're gonna camp over at Crazy Horse. And, during the day they're going to come race, and then at night he's going to have a tent set up, and he's going to go spend some time with his family out on the beach. Very
cool. Now, as far as entry availability, for people that haven't signed up or paid yet, are they going to be able to get in at the door? Have you run out of open entries? What's the deal with that?
I originally wanted to cap the race at 180, but I figured at this point, let's just bring them in. Let's get as many people in here as possible, and we'll have a great weekend. We're going to run a real tight race program. I've got open entries. I'll be taking entries all the way up until Saturday night. So if you're coming in late Saturday night and you want to try and run a couple mains on on Sunday, come on in and we'll get you signed up. Our schedule is we're going to run the 2 qualifiers, which are going to be 5 minutes on Saturday, and then 1 main. And then on Saturday we're going to finish up with on Sunday we're going to finish up with the other 2 mains. So Saturday is going to be probably one of the longer days, but Sunday's slated to be the coolest day, and it'll give us time to do handouts and awards and stuff like that.
Very cool, very cool. Well, we've got just about 30 seconds left with you here before we switch over to our interview. Why don't you let people know how they can find the entry form and that kind of stuff? What website or Facebook do they need to go to?
If you go to rcsignup.com, our event's listed there. Also, if you go to rctech.com and search the Arizona race thread and Havasu RC Raceway, you can find all the info that you would need there. Or you could go on to Facebook and search Havasu RC Raceway as well, and there's plenty of info there as well.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much, Miller, for calling in. We appreciate you there. That was super
Miller.
Cool. And I think everyone's looking forward to this race.
Yeah, I'll be seeing him soon.
Absolutely, in a couple hours.
Yeah.
And moving right along here, we got Jeremy from RC Insider. How you doing, Jeremy?
What's up, Jeremy?
Hey, what's going on, Shane, Eric? How you guys doing? Man?
Awesome.
Another day in paradise.
I just want to take this quick moment to tell you guys, I think it's awesome what you guys are doing for the sport of RC racing. I think it's long time overdue that someone is actually getting out into the terrestrial radio and television area of talking about this stuff. I'm surprised it hasn't happened a lot sooner. But hey, you guys are starting to make some noise with it, and that's awesome.
It's pretty cool. We are enjoying it a lot.
Absolutely.
And like every week it seems like it's getting better and better, and there's more hype build up around it and more pressure to do stuff, and it's just it's going to the top of the chart. I mean, today, I looked on the websites and it's blown up all over the place, especially on your website, and I really appreciate what you've been doing for us, and hopefully, we can help you out in the future and stuff. I know we're going to be talking about that in a little bit later.
Absolutely, yeah. On rcinsider.com, all the latest news in RC there, and we are on the front page, which is pretty awesome. Also on NeoBuggy again,
yeah,
and rcarea.co.uk again. Kevin over there is extremely gracious, helping us out with a little bit of getting out there, letting the RC community know about us. But speaking about knowing about people, Jeremy, why don't you fill people in with your backstory a little bit and how old you were when you were introduced to the hobby?
Well, it's funny you should mention that. I got introduced into the hobby when I was, I want to say a sophomore in high school. A coworker of my dad's, for a lot of the listeners that are out there on your show, some of the races that I do not attend, my dad does, because he's in Northern California, is where I'm originally from, and he takes some of the pictures for the website at NorCal Hobbies and the Sacramento racetracks like Speed World, that sort of thing. And one of his coworkers, he's a retired computer information systems analyst at the Gallo Winery up in Northern California in Modesto. And him and his coworkers brought the Gold Tub RC10s home one day after work, and I started going to the local tracks in the Bay Area, in Sacramento. One was over in Livermore, where J.D. Beckwith and the Francis brothers used to race at quite a bit. And I used to go to the track and watch those guys and learn from them. And my dad had started taking me on the weekends, and I really got into the club racing. I never traveled to do all like the Cactus Classic and all that kind of stuff, but I just liked hanging out locally at the track, doing the club racing, and I wasn't a serious racer like what we see today and how things have really blown up over the years. But I always have enjoyed it, and I treated it as a hobby, not as a business or not as the way the hobby has kind of grown. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's gotten
Absolutely.
gotten huge. It's gotten very political and very advertisement friendly, and now it's just. Before it probably was just, a couple of backyard guys wanting to go out and test their skills against each other, and now it's gotten to the extremes. Like, people are spending a lot of money. And they're traveling, and they're taking it as a very big form of motorsports, and I think
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've kind of gone from the in the basement in the sweaty shirt to playing Dungeons and Dragons kind of people
right.
to the underwear model kind of people.
I think pretty soon people are going to be showing up in tuxes and stuff.
I wouldn't say that, but you mentioned that. We talked the other day on the phone about it, Shane, a little bit. Racing was always an afterthought for me. My family expected me, hey, you go to school, you get your education, you go to school, you graduate, you get in the real world and you get a job. RC is a second thought.
Yeah, it wasn't a priority. Now it's
and honestly, it wasn't a priority for me. And the reason why I say that, at the time, I didn't have the talent and the skill set to take it to that next level. And when I was growing up as a kid in the hobby, man, if you weren't at the track as much as Matt Francis, and the reason why I mention him is because I used to go to the tracks. My home tracks were the Sacramento Mini Wheels, where those guys, raced 2-3 times a week with Danny and Joe Carter and some of those guys. And I got to be honest with you, they were very fast and they were very serious, but they were very friendly, and it was a great time, and I learned a lot from them. But I didn't have it within me to do that kind of concentration. And I like to have more fun, just go into the club racing, and that's where I got the enjoyment out of it. And I always used to watch, as a kid growing up, seeing Richard Saxton and Jason Rona, who now runs J Concepts. And those guys were at a whole different level than what I ever
whole nother level
ever could have ever been. And I knew when I was getting done with high school and going into college that what I wanted to do was be in the journalism, and I paved my career towards San Francisco State, and I went to college to learn how to be a broadcaster and go to I spent so many years doing the whole broadcast journalism thing. I've worked at several television stations here on the West Coast, from Reno, Nevada, all the way down here to San Diego, California, where I'm currently at now. And I've never, knock on wood, ever been unemployed. I've come close to where layoffs have loomed, and and they've really pared down the business of what I'm doing regularly.
That's where I was getting to. The next question actually I had for you is, when you started racing, how did the atmosphere and the people around you affect you? I mean, you talked a lot about Matt Francis and all the big names. Like, how did that affect you?
It was different. It was a different time back in the 90s. And the reason being is the money wasn't there for the drivers. The sport hadn't really changed, I don't think, until when Kinwald, made the move and left Team Associated to go to Losi and Trinity and do all that stuff. And it was just a hobby at that time. It wasn't, people weren't drawing the paychecks like they are now. So livelihoods weren't kind of at stake at some of the races, and people weren't. It wasn't, and that's just from what I perceived and saw at the racetrack. Because if that were the case, a lot of these people would probably maybe still be in the hobby from the past that aren't doing it now.
A lot of people probably left the scene early, like right before short course came out. They were like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm not making anything out of it. I have a family now. I'm not making any money at this. I keep spending money. I'm not, I'm always away. And then now all of a sudden short course blew up the scene. I think it helped it out a lot. And it made everything else better.
I think you're right. I think short course actually saved the electrics. I think
do too.
Also,
I believe that as well. And I haven't even been in the hobby as long as other people have, and I see it.
The big thing I see also too, Shane, and I don't know if Eric can speak to this, but for the club racing scene, I hear when I go to the tracks all the time, people tell me, Jimmy's JBRL Racing Series League is killed off club racing. This nationwide short course tour that Scotty Ernst does, it's killing off the club racing at the different tracks around the country.
I think it's making it bigger.
Absolutely. I think it's making it bigger,
yeah.
and I disagree with a lot of what these people tell me at the racetracks, and the reason why I say that is I think if you operate a racetrack as a business and you do it the right way, and you're promoting your club racing, and you are, taking care of your guys that are your club racers that keep coming back, and you're not treating them like, okay, $20, $20, $20,
or
you're
just
not,
give me your money. No, it's
exactly.
A little bit different.
You make it different because look, if that's the case, then how does Jimmy get 130 to 150 club entries on a Tuesday night, and he has this race called the Tuesday Night Nationals?
I know. For him, there was one time there was like 200-something entries on the Tuesday nights. It was just ridiculous. Like people and that was the explosion of short course, I think, in the beginning.
I went there. I've been to those races, just to watch and see what it's like. And it's like you're racing a miniature hot rod shootout.
Yeah, it's a big race.
Because you get, the thing, and that's the thing is why people don't realize I'm blessed here for RCInsider.com in Southern California. Growing up, I was always in Northern California, so, the closest thing I had was Livermore to an indoor clay track. But down here back in the day, it was M&M Hobbies. You had, the Ranch Pit with Gil Losi Jr. and his family, and it's different now because now you've got, 2 indoor tracks in Southern California right now, and they're racing on the same days. And then now we have one down here in San Diego, where I'm based out of, SDRC Raceway, that's been open, for
that's a new one on the map for sure.
And it is. I've a lot of things have changed in the world of RC down here in San Diego. One of the employees there, Dave Brown, who had started the track up at the time with Scott Bergen, the owner of the track. Dave Brown was an employee of his, but he broke off to go do his own track here in Chula Vista, California, and he's no longer with SDRC Raceway. So it's going to mean some more opportunities for my website to be involved at that track and and I've got a pretty good relationship now with Scott, and we talk probably a couple times a week now. So it's good. Things for my website are starting to progress in an area that I'm starting to feel a little more comfortable about. I mean, there was a period there where I'm like, dude, I don't know if this website's gonna take off. But the traffic is just has been
awesome.
Going
every day. It goes bigger and bigger.
And I got a question for you here, Jeremy, real quick. Before I do, though, for people listening to the interview here with Jeremy from RC Insider, if you've got any questions about the industry, this guy's got his finger on the pulse of the entire industry.
Answer.
So go ahead and call us in live here, 702-731-1230. Or if you're a little phone shy, you want to leave an email, you can do that at rcracechat@gmail.com. You can leave us a question, idea. We can always ask him after the show.
Forward it to Jeremy.
That's right. We can forward it to Jeremy. Absolutely. Again, that number is 731-1230. You can also stream us live from the Vegas RC Raceway website, which is thevrcr.com, as well as iTunes. And be sure and comment on that because that moves us on up the ladder. And moving on with the questions here with Jeremy, did you always know that you wanted to be a part of the sport from behind the scenes right off the bat? And what attracted you to the news and hype of the RC racing?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. My job as a news photographer, every day my assignment changes. When I get to work, I check in at the assignment desk, go to the afternoon meetings, or if I'm working in the mornings, I'll go to the morning meetings. I'll meet with the news director and executive producers. And, there were a lot of times throughout my career I would be on the road covering, the Charger games while I'm down here in San Diego or in Northern California. When I was working in Sacramento at some of the stations where I'd cover the 49er games, or the Oakland Raider games, where I'd be on the road, sitting on a plane, I'd always take an RC magazine with me. And to kind of stay on top of, who's winning and who's losing and who's doing well at this race and that race. And I always kind of paid attention to what was going on. But in the years of 2005, 2006, 2007, I started searching, the Internet, and I saw these wonderful websites, and I don't really consider, and people will think I'm crazy for saying this, I don't consider Red RC and Neo Buggy and these other, RC area UK and all these websites my competition. I think it's all of our jobs.
It's all good. I think it's all good. And I know that you're the American-based version of these, and that this is your job to promote America. So
I'm trying to be that. Yeah. I don't know if I will ever get to the level that those guys have set a standard. The difference that I want to do that Red RC and Neo Buggy do is they're European-based websites, same as Buggy Sport Info and all these top-notch websites. I think they're all awesome. I think what they do for the hobby is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And I've talked to Volker Gerdes at Buggy Sport Info, and I've got a way better relationship now with Phil over at Neo Buggy, and I think what those guys are doing is fantastic. And I want RC Insider to be a little bit different. I want the viewers that go to those websites, that like going to those websites, well, they know that there is RCinsider.com over here in the States, but I want to give them something different than what the other guys aren't doing. Like, I'm not going to chase a European story, when for example, a couple weeks ago, Renaud Savoya left, what company was it? He's now with X-Ray. But I'm not going to chase all that. I'm not going to hunt it down, and I'm not, because that's going to go to Neo Buggy, and that's Neo Buggy's beat is the 8th scale European-based stuff.
Definitely.
I want to cover the guys here in the U.S.
That's cool.
On Friday, I had Dakota Fenn's mom sending me some photos while he's out here at the Reedy race, up in Saugus, and people can't get enough of these young kids that are 14, 15 years old that are, lighting the track up on fire because, they're not getting that coverage, unless they're on the podium.
Yes.
Right.
All the time.
Absolutely right.
If you look and see like what some of the other sites are doing, and like I said, I think their coverage is great, but my goal is if I'm going to be at the Reed Race Champions, I'm going to get all those podium pictures put up on my website, and I'm talking the kids, novice, the sportsmen. I've cruised through
That's cool.
And I think it's important that we don't forget about the stocks, the sportsman buggies, all the other classes that are affiliated with that race.
These are the grassroots of this is the foundation of the sport.
The blood of the sport that's moving up. Real quick, Jeremy, before we continue, we have a Brent calling in. Brent, how you doing?
Hey, doing real good out here in SoCal, California, also in Riverside. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Very good. Thank you for calling in. What's your question?
I was actually calling. I'm a big supporter of RC Insider. I know Jeremy fairly well. We go back a few years now. I think what he's trying to do for our hobby, it's a hobby, but some people think it's a sport, so draw the line where you will. But I think it's huge what he's done in the short time that he's had. You guys actually hit a little bit on the nail on the head as far as I was going to comment, because he does care about, like he says, a sportsman up to the pro level.
I think that's the coolest part about his job. He doesn't
care.
He doesn't just care about the top guys.
Yeah, and I mean, it's real easy to overlook the guys, but you forget at a ground level basis, if we don't have those rookies and sportsmen coming up,
you're not going to have entries.
Won't survive.
Yeah,
it won't survive. Right now, we've been blessed in California. We have more tracks than I can remember. I've been around for probably 15 years, back at the days with Ken Walden at M&M Hobbies and stuff. And even then, I mean, I don't think we quite had the blow up that we have now, which is good and bad, because we need to be able to fill all of those tracks. It's great to have the options, but we got to get the drivers out there so those businesses don't go under. And then we create our own demise, if you will.
I think it's all in marketing and promotion stuff that we're doing right now, stuff that Jeremy does, stuff that everybody's doing.
That's right, cutting edge stuff.
Pimping the sport out, and I that's what we need. And as soon as I know, as soon as this stuff hits like a commercial on TV, it's over with. Like, you're going to get millions of more people that are wanting. They don't even know what it is now, and then all of a sudden they're going to see it and be like, I want to do that. So I think that's going to influence a lot of young children and moms and parents and everything. As soon as you start seeing it on TV, this sport is going to blow up through the roof.
Yeah, it's definitely on its way. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of families out there that their kids go out and get in trouble and stuff, and the minute you take a kid down to a track and tie him up for 6 or 8 hours at the track, because time blows by, he's out of trouble.
Yep.
And I don't think they realize what a family atmosphere it can be. So you got to go down to West Coast Hobbies, OCRC, all of these tracks, Jimmy, Hot Rod Hobbies.
Yeah.
These guys, their kids not your responsibility necessarily, but I guarantee when you're there, everybody around keeps an eye on all the kids. So it ends up being a pretty safe environment. So
it's definitely a safe environment.
It's really good for a family atmosphere. So it's a great hobby to get all the way around. We just need to introduce more people to it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, that's what we're trying to do for sure. Did you have anything else, Brent, or are you good?
I just actually wanted to ask him. I want to tell you guys it's great. I actually just got turned on to the radio. I saw it on RC Insider, so it's very cool. I'm going to try to catch it every week till Jeremy is doing a good job. The support you guys are doing. I wanted to ask Jeremy, who's out there, whether it be on a top level. I guess maybe on a top level, who do you like to be around and work with the most out of all the people you've had the opportunity to work with?
Great question.
Who's the funnest? I don't want to get negative. There can be a lot of those, so we'll go with who's the nicest and funnest. I really like Dustin Evans. I think the kid's got a great head on his shoulders, and I really like him. So.
Yeah, is it my turn to talk now?
Go ahead. Yeah,
go.
Go. I get excited. I get carried away. Go.
I love talking to Brent because he's always great to catch up with the JBRL, and all his guys, they really support the website really good. Him and Josh Mitchell, Jason Bang, and all those guys on the JBRL are just super fun, and I love to get out there as much as I can on Saturdays. But if I had to pick the couple of guys right now, it's kind of almost an even tie right now. At that pro level, that guys that are able to make the time for me and return texts and phone calls, I'd have to almost say right now it's a toss-up between Adam Drake and Dustin Evans. They're both very PR friendly when it comes to getting quotes and stuff I need when I'm at some of these big races and stuff. Having said that, though, my relationship has totally grown with getting stuff from Ryan Mayfield. We've actually worked out a situation where he tells me he wrenches in the morning, so if I got to do an interview with him or I need to talk to him, we do it pretty much after the races. last year, I was kind of getting into his pits when he was really working on stuff, and I needed to do some updates on my site, and we just came to a little bit of an agreement at the beginning of the year that, hey, let's do interviews. We need to talk to me. We'll do it after at the end of the race day, and
that's usually the best time.
And we plug J Concepts, and because they're my lead advertiser next to Venom, but no, the guys at Associated and Losi are great. But I got to be honest with you, I talked to Dustin Evans yesterday, and I needed some information from the J Concepts Fall Indoor Nationals that happened at the beginning of October. And he sent me the information right away, and he's like, hey, I got your text and stuff when I was out in Massachusetts, but, man, I got so busy. And, dude, the guy, TQ'd and won 3 classes out there. I mean, you can't expect much more than that. And the fact is, I mean, the guy's always – he makes time for me. And cool. And having said that, when he won the Reedy International Off-Road Race Champions this past January, I got the nicest email from his dad out in Colorado saying he loved the coverage. He didn't know about my website until, Dustin showed it to him, and he was just elated. And, when you get emails from parents, and I've gotten several over the past few months.
It keeps you going.
It keeps it puts it all in perspective, So that's what's important.
Yeah, it's nice to get that positive feedback. And Brent, did you have any other questions? Are you good?
No, I think that was a pretty solid answer. I think
so. Jeremy's
all those guys they know how to do their business, and they're down for their business, but they make time to be friendly. I've been lucky enough to talk to all of those guys, and they're all great guys. So I encourage some of the other guys out there, if they're out there, don't be bashful. Go up and hit some of those guys up. You'd be surprised on how cool they are. So
yeah.
Anyway, if there's some of those locals at the smaller level need any help, Jeremy knows Brent Bam Bam Bisbee is there to help.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thank you.
Good program.
Yeah,
awesome. Thanks for calling in, Brent. I appreciate it. And before we continue here, if you have any other callers that would want to call in and ask Jeremy a question, you can do that, 702-731-1230. Again, that is 702-731-1230. And Shane, you got a question for Jeremy?
Yeah, Jeremy, when you first started reporting news on RC Insider, were you welcomed into the events? Or did you have to prove yourself as a credible news outlet?
No, I'll be honest with you, and I'm glad you kind of put me on point on this. And like I said, if any of this comes to blowback, this is my perception on it, not RC Radio Chat out in Vegas. At the very beginning, the one that was the most welcoming to it and allowed me to start to put it on the map was Jimmy Babcock. I started the site.
Definitely.
I did everything at the Hot Rod Shootout last year, 2010. And I went to Jimmy before the race and said, hey, look, I'm starting this website up. And he told me, at the beginning of this year, he had no idea that my website would ever get to where it's at now and the cult following that it has. And he told me he didn't think it was going to last and it was going to make it. And when he gave me a huge compliment at the beginning of the year, it made me like, dude, I'm going to go like gangbusters and make this thing even better.
Yeah, you want to blow it up now, yeah.
And I've got so many ideas and things how I'm going to make it even better for next year and ride the rest of the year out. But at the very beginning, nobody really cared. I don't think anybody ever thought that I would do what I'm doing now with the website. And now I'm starting to feel the pressure from Live RC. They've kind of told me at several different events, and the earliest incident was in April when I went out to the On-Road Worlds to kind of follow the X-Ray guys and Paul Lemieux. I wanted to go cover the U.S. guys in Florida for the 8 scale On-Road Worlds, and Live RC was really friendly to me. They asked me not to air the main because they were gonna make a DVD out of it.
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
their
why none of
gig.
that video never aired on my website. And people were like, "Why didn't you put that stuff up?" And And when I got to the Gas Nationals in June, the same thing happened. I was kind of told, "Hey, look, we'd really like you not to do this," And I try to have the best relationship I can with.
Yeah, you got to be
Brandon
respectful
Rhodey.
with the rest of your media friends.
But
yeah, absolutely.
But I think the final straw with me on this was this past August. I get up to the Electric Off-Road Nationals, and I'm told I can only do highlights now. I can't do what I was doing last year. And that's where I'm like, okay, Live RC has an exclusive agreement with Roar or whatever to broadcast races or whatever.
Were you aware of that situation?
I was never made aware of it.
Oh.
I've done my communication over the past year to find out like what the rules are here. And I had so many companies telling me at the Nationals, hey man, you gotta get this letter in your hands. But Brandon, told me at the Nationals, hey, look, they're in the process of making a TV deal happen and something broadcasting situations going on with him. That it's going to be a really good thing, and that they told myself and Ultimate RC that we couldn't do more than highlight packages. Basically, I could only show a couple minutes of every main.
Wow.
Well, it was useless for me to stay there all week and do that, because the viewers that come to my website tell me they want to see mains. They don't want to see highlights.
Yeah, they want to see the whole thing.
They want to see what went down.
The battles, the
and that's why lately I've decided after this August, because it is costly for me to travel to get to my races.
Definitely.
I've talked to the people that invest in this website, and the matters that be, and the people that I answer to on a weekly basis about the advertising and everything, and I'm going to come up with a schedule next year of the races I'm going to attend. I didn't go to the IIC this year in Vegas because I did it last year, and I want RC Insider not to be okay, we're going to go to the same race year after year after year. I want to next year go out to Lake Havasu with your friend Jason Miller's track. I was in college. I've been in the spring breaks out there. It's a lot of fun out at Lake Havasu.
It is, and I wish you were coming out there this weekend, but I'm going to take some pictures myself. I'm going to try to shoot some video, and I know he has a photographer coming down there, and maybe somebody else that's shooting video, because I know I'm not going to have a lot of time, and I'm going to try to make up a report for you, and I'm going to send you all that information, so maybe you can post that on the website for us, and that would be cool.
Absolutely, and that's where I'm getting to, Shane, is I want to be out at the races that isn't going to interfere with it. That's not going to interfere with what Live RC is doing. And it's not that I've never considered, and I'll say this till the end of time with this website, I don't consider myself any kind of a competition with Live RC.
Okay.
I don't consider myself or them a threat to what I'm doing or what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now, the magazines might look at me different, and they probably all want me to go away because I post stuff, podium pictures and all that stuff. Until it hits the magazines, they usually don't post a lot of that stuff on their online news websites.
That was another one of my questions for you, actually. Do you feel that magazines do an adequate job of covering RC news, or do they leave something out?
That's a debatable question, because I like all the guys that do it. I have no problems with what they're doing.
I honestly think that they're missing out on some stuff. That's just my perspective, and I think that's a whole lot of other people's too.
It seems like it's more they just kind of focus on the new person, getting them in, showing them some little tidbits, doing some
here's some advertisements, here's all our new products, and then here's who won. Not the ground roots.
Hey guys, I totally hear with you and exactly what you're saying, and I'll be honest with you, 90% of the people that talk to me say the same thing that you're saying to me.
I think they'd sell more magazines.
It's not a broken record, and I don't think I honestly think subscription levels are down all around everywhere you go.
I think they would shoot through the roof if they covered the sportsman level and maybe the story on how he made it to those races and what cost was involved and how he had to leave his family for the week and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
It's ended up to be so much end result rather than the journey.
Yeah.
And what happens is, people that are in the hobby or the sport, again, whatever you want to call it, they understand what the late hours working on your cars, getting this going, trying to find time off work, saving up money to go to these big events. Right. And in these magazines, that never gets told.
They never promote that.
You think you get this portrayal.
See, and that's a big problem. And I see that in this hobby. I see that Trax will take up a 12-page ad in a magazine, and they pretty much kind of own Car Action, or these other companies end up, spending, 5 or 6 different pages in these magazines. And so basically what you're sitting there looking at is a picture of Jared Tebow with an Orion battery pack. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I don't mind the advertisements.
The
I want to read articles too, and I want to read like the new upcomers and people that have been doing well at local level tracks.
How they got there.
Yeah, and show maybe in a year from now they're going to be at the podium level, and I want to read about those people, and then all of a sudden at the end of their not the end of their journey, but when they're at the top of their game, I would love to hear about them then
At that
as well.
point in
Yeah,
time. Right.
But be able to read about them as sportsman level guys, and then all of a sudden in a couple years, here it is. Now they're on the podium. They won Reedy Race, or they won Hot Rod Shootout, or whatever it is. That would be awesome. And I wish more magazines would cover that.
And I agree with what you're saying on that. But the problem, and I don't know like I said, if this is true, but I've talked to several key industry people that are, and we're talking at people I've talked to in the past several months about this. I said, what does it take to get the magazines to come out and cover all these races and be at all these different events and show it consistently and put things up? And from the big things I've heard from the owners of some of these companies is, and industry people, and I'm not going to ever out my sources on this stuff.
No,
but
right.
The big thing is when the distributors had stopped making the requirements to have the coverage at some of these events, well, that's when the focus went back to advertising and stuff.
Okay.
And the magazines might say I'm completely far off base on this, but this is just the information that's being fed to me through certain credible sources that I would not think that are lying to me and spinning me in different ways. I kind of agree with what some of my sources have said to me, because it makes sense. If Great Plains Hobbico and all these other distributors out there, have their in-house guys covering, some of their sponsored events, well, then they don't really need, the magazines to do it, and they don't need, the internet websites to do some of this stuff, and unless they have contracts with them and advertisements with them. I mean, if you look at the hits that go to Red RC and Neo Buggy, I mean, there's constantly 100 to 250 people on these websites all day long because they crave the daily updates on it and stuff. And I don't think there's a group of people that are kind of able to manage that, plus do advertising sales and everything else like that at these magazine corporate offices, just because the staffing levels I've seen over the past couple of years in my terrestrial television business. I got to imagine that the magazine levels have scaled back on employees as well as too.
Right, absolutely. Well, moving on here real quick, Jeremy. With outfits like yourself and Live RC, it seems that the sport is being covered more than any other time in its history. It's really at its pinnacle right now. What do you see next in regards to industry coverage? Where do you go from here? I mean, what happens? What's the next step?
Well, I think eventually, and it really is a matter of time. And I wouldn't be surprised if Live RC does get it before any of us. And the reason being is, I've got a lot of producer contacts and a lot of people that produce at Fox. I mean, when I'm not working at my local TV station here in San Diego, I'm up working the Angels and the Dodgers games, and I'm in the clubhouse and doing stuff with the ball players and live shots all over in the United States for the different regional feeds, and I can honestly tell you that it's probably going to be maybe a year to 2 years down the line before somebody throws up a reality show, and it gets on a Fuel TV or one of those other speed networks, because right now you've got a group of RC racers that probably could do something behind the scenes.
Definitely.
and blend it in, but it has to get blended in with motocross.
Have you tried to put forth the effort to make it, at the radio or at the TV station, say, hey, maybe you guys should, send a camera out this way and maybe cover some of this stuff once in a while? Would they be into that? I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't be.
Here's the thing too, and this is something that I have I can't right now afford to lose my job at the television station that I'm at. However, when I work for the terrestrial television stations, I've had to sign agreements saying that I would not have video airing on a competitor's network, like the local affiliates or however cable. And see, me having RCinsider.com on the side for my regular TV job, I'm able to get around all that stuff, because in the internet world there's so many different laws and the stuff changes all the time. I can get around it by having RCinsider.com, and I can put up my video on the internet and I can broadcast and do stuff that way without it affecting my regular job. Now, here's the problem. If I try to cover big RC races that happen here in San Diego through my television station and say RC Insider is involved with also covering that race, well, then there is what do you want to call it? It could be a technical conflict of interest, something like that.
Maybe like you're trying to start a monopoly with it or something like that.
No. Just that I can't really commingle. It would look bad business if I'm commingling RCinsider.com with my current
TV. Yeah.
Right. Now, having said that, a lot of my friends that are freelancers and that work in the business up in LA, some of them are out of work and that are always looking to, they look at my website every day and they're always trying to find ideas off of it. Is there something we could do with this? Is there, an idea here that we can do? And the big thing is and I hear this all the time from some of my producers I've brought to certain races to check out and tell me what they think of it. And they really want to see the attendance levels get up to several thousand at some of these races because it's tough to go in and pitch it to corporate sponsors to buy advertising for some of this stuff.
Well, I know if they started it, just like we started this radio show, it will come. You know what I mean?
It will.
If they just put it on there, a 30-minute show, one 30-minute pilot, if it aired for a week, I guarantee you they would get mad responses on it, and people would just hit them up and say, okay, I want to advertise.
And I'm telling you right now, I've got so much stuff in the can and things I've done that would make it work here in Southern California.
Well, you know how the industry is, and you cover everything, and you know a lot of people, and I know that you could probably make that happen more so than anybody right now. I don't know.
And I'll be honest with you, the only reason I haven't pushed as hard as I have to maybe get something going on is because I look at RCinsider.com as my baby, and I started it, and I'm afraid if I let it go and I get caught up with shooting reality stuff and doing a show on that I feel like
you'll forget about the website. Yeah,
exactly. And
don't do that.
And I don't want to do that. And right now I'm a staff of a couple people of myself.
Yeah.
And
you start a production company, you're going to be hiring 50 people to produce a TV show.
Yeah, it'd be pretty tight, that's for sure.
And I'll be honest with you, I like being out at the races and I like getting out and I like doing this kind of stuff, but I think that there has to be there's got to be some changes and some things got to be a little bit different. I think if we go reality-based television in the RC world, I look at it, as it's not all about. It doesn't have to be the best, the fastest, the top 3 or 4 guys, but it's
just the drama involved would be a great TV show.
Right, exactly. Although I'm sure Shane, we've been to some of those races where we've seen.
I love watching the drama unfold before me. I love it. I get off on that. I love watching.
It's
I love
good
watching
stuff. It really
people
is.
get the frustration level to where they're super happy, and then all of a sudden they're kicking their little stool that they were standing on.
The sport is unlike any other, where someone can be at one moment in time they can be so elated and happy.
Yeah, coolest guy ever, and then all of a sudden,
within 10 seconds,
done.
They're the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, they need
they've
some
thrown
Prozac.
they've thrown their radio against the wall and they need a dose of lithium.
Yeah, and you've never seen them angry.
Or they're yelling at their dad.
Yeah, or yelling at the marshal because they crashed.
And that's where I put it all into perspective at the end of the day, and I sit and I laugh about it, because, dude, we're talking toy car racing here. I mean, that's what it is. And granted, people are making a living at it, and they're doing very well with it, and people are going to make a career out of it at the end of the day. But when you try to tell, like, my coworkers and people I work with, hey, dude, I'm going to the RC car races this weekend. They're like, you got your mind.
Yeah, they're like, what are you, 12?
Yeah, go play Dungeons and Dragons.
Until they see it, they don't know. They don't understand. And then you show these people what it is, and they're just amazed by it. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
Yeah, real quick. I think this is pretty funny because it pertains. I get a call at the Vegas RC Raceway today, and it's this lady, and she sounds pretty well-to-do, and she says, yes, I know you do corporate events, and I have a party of 38. And can you tell me a bit about yourself? And I'm giving her the full spiel about this and that. And I said, well, you stand on the driver's stand and you drive and this and that. And she goes, you don't get in them? and I said, no. I said, well, I sure can't.
I don't think we fit.
Yeah, my butt you can't jam in there. I said, maybe you. But at that point, she had completely lost interest.
Didn't want to be a part
You
of
know,
it.
she says, well, that sounds kind of, kind of weird. What do you use, a stick?
Yeah.
It's
a string.
Yeah.
Like you carry along.
Yeah.
Eric, I don't know how familiar you are with San Diego, California or not, but my wife works at Balboa Park. She works at the Museum of Modern Art. She's the assistant to the executive director over at the museum there in Balboa Park here in San Diego. And her boss and they don't understand RCinsider.com. My wife rarely goes to my website, and that's a true story. They don't understand how people get up on a stand and drive around a track in off-road format, or whether it's on-road or oval or whatever. She's like, he's going to go drive around a track for like 8 hours a day and just with a little toy car.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's interesting to see how people think, and and
they just don't know. They're not familiar.
They're
not familiarized with it. They haven't seen it. They don't understand. And then once they see it, once they understand it, then they get it. Then they're like, I understand why you spent 18 hours at the track. You get fulfilled with this stuff.
Yeah. Well, moving on here, Jeremy, we have about 5 more minutes before the end of the show. So I wanted to let our listeners know about a little thing that RC Race Chat, Vegas RC Raceway, and RC Insider kind of has going on here. We're going to be forming a bit of a partnership, if you will.
Cool.
Absolutely.
And I think this is extremely exciting for the industry, because I don't think anything like this has ever been done with a media source like RC Insider matched with
a radio show,
and a track facility.
Definitely.
So RC Insider and Jeremy here is going to be doing weekly segments on the show. And then he's also going to be keeping people on RC Insider informed about the radio show and perhaps some bigger races that happen at the Vegas RC Raceway, what goes on with Shane at some of these races. Really, cool. I think this relationship's really going to work out to better RC Insider and RC Race Chat and Vegas RC Raceway. What are your thoughts on that?
It's actually good. For my website to sustain the viewer base that it has and grow, it needs to touch as many different RC people that it can, that want information. The big thing that I get over and over again is, are you going to put this race on your website? Are you going to put that race? Or I didn't see this on this website. Do you have any other information that, and that's what's good about your radio show and my website is we're 2 new independent sources, not really stuck, by what this magazine's doing or what that company's doing, or we're not a property of any
we're not tied
other.
Down. Yeah.
Right.
We're not tied. So what we can do is bring new stuff to more people, And you know what, guys, you're going to enjoy the ride with your radio show, because I see it going to a whole nother level for what you guys are doing, and it's only going to get bigger. I told you when I talked to you earlier in the week, Shane, I see your guys' show going to 2 hours, within probably 6 months.
Yeah, we need it, because we have so many more questions for you, and now we're down to 2 minutes left.
Yeah, we got
we could fill up probably a 5-hour show talking to RC Insider. He is so full of information, and actually, you're going to be on probably next week.
Next
so,
week, absolutely.
So you can keep us up to date with all the newest stuff that's going on, and maybe some products that you might see out there in the field, and who's the hot guy at the track, and maybe hot female or whatever's going on.
Did you see, with the release of the 8mm chassis by Associated this week, J Concepts released today, they sent me the stuff. I have to put it up on the website, but they got their new line of their 8mm bodies out, the finishers for the new longer length B4
Absolutely.
chassis.
They're super neat. Hey, real quick, Jeremy, not to cut you off here. We got a caller, Dave, with about a minute left to go. We got to make it snappy. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey,
Looking
Dave.
forward to seeing you down in Havasu this weekend. One thing I just wanted to touch on is, like you guys were saying, you don't see a lot of coverage for the sportsman guys and the intermediate guys, and I think that's something I really look for. I've only been back in the sport for about a year.
Absolutely.
But,
hey, Dave, we're running out here. We got about 20 seconds left. I hate to cut you short, bud. Sorry about that. Jeremy, real quick for these people, give them your website address so they know where they can get a hold of you.
My website address is www.rcinsider.com, and check us out. We'll be at the Sidewinder Nitro Explosion on the 22nd and 23rd out there with Gary Guest.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jeremy.
it.
Right
Tune
on.
in next week for RC Race Chat with Eric and Big Shane.
Peace out.
Hey, Las Vegas, Dollar Loan Center is sponsoring the Oakland Raider games this season during the broadcast on KLAV. And for every touchdown that the Raiders score during the regular season, Dollar Loan Center will donate $100 to Las Vegas' favorite charity, Opportunity Village. Join your community short-term lender, Dollar Loan Center, and make an Opportunity Village donation today. Get more information on making your donation at OpportunityVillage.org or call Dollar Loan Center at 364-LOAN, and they'll help you out. Go Raiders!
Hi, I'm Duke Liberatore.
And I'm Dr. Jan McBarron.
We are a husband and wife team.
And together we host the #1 health talk show in the nation,
Duke and the Doctor.
You can hear our show weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. here on KLAV 1230 a.m.
We'll discuss up-to-date health news, give away gifts, share a laugh or two, and answer health questions from our callers.
Feel happy, healthy, and terrific when you tune in to Duke and the Doctor.
Monday through Friday from 6 to 8 a.m. on KLAV 1230 a.m., the talk of Las Vegas.
Hello, this is Robert Bruner, and I am the Executive Director for the Las Vegas Rescue Mission.
And I'm John Fogel, the Director of Development.
Please join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. for the Las Vegas Rescue Mission radio show, In Touch with Las Vegas. During our show, we will talk with many of our partners, sharing some of the stories of hardship and happiness when somebody has been given a second chance and made a turnaround. The Las Vegas Rescue Mission is a privately funded corporation that greatly appreciates your help. So listen every Wednesday at 2 p.m. right here at KLAV for In Touch with Las Vegas.
Finally, you can get the truth about annuities. Whether you already own an annuity or are just considering an annuity, join Stan, the annuity man, and Jim Farish of the PerfectVariableAnnuity.com every Wednesday afternoon at 4. It's The Annuity Show, an hour of clear, transparent, straightforward talk about the world of annuities. The Annuity Show, a KLAV exclusive, Wednesday afternoon at 4. Do you wish you knew how to gamble smarter? Join us Thursday nights at 7 for Gambling with an Edge, hosted by Bob Dancer and Richard W. Munchkin. Bob Dancer is in the Video Poker Hall of Fame, and Richard W. Munchkin is in the Blackjack Hall of Fame. Both have been successful professional gamblers for more than 30 years. If you want to be a more knowledgeable gambler tomorrow than you were yesterday, listen to Gambling with an Edge Thursday nights at 7.
Now there's a show just for managers, professionals, and executives. This is Doug Pilarski, host of the Talent Managers Journal radio show. We'll be talking about all aspects of leading and managing people in business. We ask the question, what are you doing with all that talent? Tune in Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. and enjoy Talent Managers Journal, brought to you by Sawyer TMS, only on AM 1230 KLAV.
Nebraska football returns to KLEV, and you can follow the Huskers throughout the 2011 season. On game days, join me, Gary Bowden, 1 hour before the kickoff for the Cornhusker Countdown Show. Co-hosts John Bishop and Al Makowitz check in from Nebraska to give our listeners an exclusive 30-minute program that features news and views on the Huskers, plus an overview of their upcoming opponent. Following Cornhusker Countdown, stay tuned as we join the Husker Sports Network for more pregame programming, all leading up to the game and the play-by-play broadcast. So make KLAV your Husker headquarters.
Welcome to Conversations with Koji. We're in the atmosphere, baby, coming at you with great shows, heartwarming stories from our listeners, and a lot of celebrity guests that's hot on the scene right now. This is one show you all gonna love. Every Monday, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. We're in the atmosphere, baby. Just hold on and keep the faith.
Hi, Koji. Me and my girls can't wait to hear your voice. This is one show we've been waiting for. We have a radio set for Conversations with Koji. Much love from your biggest fans.
Hi, I'm Larry Monkhorst. Join me every Tuesday at 11 a.m. for our show, Building LV with LM Construction. On our show, we'll discuss the behind-the-scenes nuances of the commercial and residential construction industries. We'll talk about the ins and outs of the design and contracting business and the logistics involved with doing projects in Las Vegas, with guest industry specialists to discuss their experience and answer all of your questions. Learn how construction companies in Vegas are surviving this economic crunch each and every Tuesday at 11 a.m. on Building LV with LM Construction.
Hi, this is Joe Elliott from Def Leppard for RAD. Planning on going out and having a party? Great, have a lot of fun. But do me a big favour and don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives. You should too.
A public service message brought to you by Love us on radio, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. We are KLAV 1230 AM.
You're listening to KLAV Las Vegas.